Yeah, and also you wonder why then, when now you've got, especially now in this day and age, in the way that the porn industry has gone, you have now an even bigger, succession of ex-performers than they did before. That not only are they leave the industry and then wind up speaking ill of it. They then also wind up having, religious conversions or go on, having moral epiphanies, a moral road to Damascus moment that leads to them completely, speaking ill of and against the same industry that they used to be, a star of. Like, and this is not just like, just like the new like millennial generation that are all porn brained because of the internet. We're talking like those who are like legitimately, legitimate stars of the industry, like Randy Spears, who not only walked out in the industry, but then wound up having a religious conversion and even took place in a documentary called Life After Porn, where he goes in as one of those examples that appears on camera to talk about the life of the industry and how it was something so repugnant and disgusting, and he completely regrets ever having been involved, and now, through the power of Christ, is trying to redeem himself and forgive himself and to try to, do everything he can to have the love for Christ in his heart to redeem the life he led before. And when you look at the porno, also the hardcore stuff, I mean, that's why now, besides, I think I saw Razor Fist explain in a recent stream either his Razor Fist Offensive, the Razor Force Offensive, or his Razor Fist Arcade streams he does every week, about how this is like the first time in years in America that like members of the Christian church, the membership had not decreased. So either it increased enough that it made up for the deficit, so you wound up having like a wash or breaking even, or it was going up, enough that, yeah, you can count where there were at least as many people, or maybe slightly more, could be converted into Christianity than those that were leaving the church. And considering the sort of, moral or ethical or socio-political, clapback to the permissive leftism getting everything they want, and that, the cult of the fake tolerance of the left being something that is just been further and further exposed as insincere and really just a case of do as I say, not as I do. It's the yes, be tolerant the way I tell you to, or else. And now, no wonder these are the same people where if you look at somebody, a woman who chooses with her life happily to go and be, a mother and carry children to term and take the kids to church instead of, be a promiscuous, drug addicted careerist who is obsessed with being as promiscuous and materialistic as possible, then you get all those great feminists start treating them like garbage and as subhuman pond scum for the crime of not being a woman who's let their life be dictated to them by feminist dogma. And now an extension of that it's not just, the TikTok trad wives and the old trad wife thing, being around, but also now more and more you see people like, say, another one who was a queen of the porno industry, Riley Reid. The woman that they tried to build up as some type of SJW type of porn star because of her being so obsessed with doing interracial as this petite little pretty, white girl that they could go and infantilize in the sort of underhanded dancing around the laws pedo bait with her kind of career. But then also, but she was this one that refused to take pay cuts for doing interracial scenes. And now she does all this interracial porno. See, that makes her, a great activist. What? Because she refused to take less money for a black dude to pound her cunt like he's trying to kill her with his unit, as opposed to a white guy doing it? And well, guess what? She's now gone and done on-camera interviews, completely repentant and regretful of having ever been involved in the industry. And now, through the heart of hearts of talking about somebody who actually is tolerant and open-minded and forgiving in the way that these liberals never prove themselves to never sincerely be. She found a man who has gone and now married her, and you can see the footage online of the big traditional fairy tale, white wedding, as our friend Billy Idol said. Hell, she found a man who was able to forgive her for her past and for doing all that depraved shit and finding, oh, hey, no, this is the woman I will love. Now, when it comes to saintly or a guy who truly, truly, can forgive or forget, loving your enemies or forgiving those who've done depraved things, it's Riley Reid's husband. in the way that Jerry Falwell proved himself to be the righteous man, not through his preaching or his televangelism, but through the friendship he developed with Larry Flynt in the years after their feud that led to counter lawsuits that led all the way up to the Supreme Court. And then in the wake of all that, Falwell and Flynt became close friends, where they wound up going on public speaking tours together. And yet they maintained that friendship all the way up until their deaths, even with Flynt still not backing away from mocking Falwell for all the televangelist statements and things he would make. That's why they could only go and shit all over his rhetoric, and why it probably supremely frustrated them that they could never do any of the things like, say, with what happened with Mr. I've sinned against you, my lord, Jimmy Swaggart. They couldn't catch Falwell, and hence why the whole thing with Jerry Falwell Jr. being caught and all that on that lot and that yacht and that scandal was like the guilt by association, the finally getting their revenge on Jerry Falwell by proxy, by being able to go and overexpose in the media against his son. And of course, let's not forget about the backwards ass morality of these people, where somebody deciding to walk away from a life of getting sexually used in some form or another on camera, them being sexually abused and exploited on camera, that's perfectly fine. But then they walk away from that industry and they wind up having some inside baseball information that is not professionally defending the industry. So a woman like, like Ginger Lynn, they'll continue to praise and treat as some great person in the mainstream media because she tells them what they want to hear. And the fact that here's this, crotchety, flabby old lady that's, your grandmama's age, that's still doing porn. But somehow that is something that's righteous and to cheer for, as opposed to somebody deciding to take a whole new direction in their life. But that whole new direction in their life is speaking ill of something that the left has happily, gladly been using in the name of social engineering for the sake of what their agenda is. In case you wonder why you wind up with things like, say, the Moonlight Bunny Ranch from that HBO softcore docuseries Cat House, doing campaigns where prostitutes for Hillary. Or you've got, triple X companies doing videos like Donald Trump, or that same production company that did that, Wood Rocket, having a YouTube channel with a video series called Ask a Porn Star, and they have one of what do you think of Donald Trump, and it's nine of the speakers out of 10 are saying bog standard orange man bad rhetoric you could easily get from every fucking episode of that Daily Show for the last decade. So if you don't think that the porn industry and all that is in another part of the apparatus of media or entertainment is entirely built around a far-left political agenda, and you're completely stupid if you don't think that. And also the fact that, well, they have such a strangely personal level of anger and invective towards those that, go from being a major performer in the industry to then speaking ill of it, or at the very least not even speaking ill of it, but then they wind up, say, having a religious conversion, like, say, Randy Spears. They completely act as if you went around and not allowed them to molest your children. And that's not my opinion. I know I'm right. So until then, I want to thank you all for watching. Subscribe so the channel will reach 10,000 subs. Become a member today and shop my art store at the second link below, where you can buy my art or commission me or support me directly with a donation. Besides that, you can also go and in the store, you can go and buy issue 1 of my new comic book, Encrypted, where a regular copy is $5, an autographed copy is $10, an autographed and sketched in copy is $20, or you can subscribe to the comic for $60, or subscribe to the comic with autographs for $90. Tomorrow, I'll have new shorts at 5 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 and 6. I'll have a new video at 6:30, and I will be live again at 10. So until then, felines, slam it, lick it, suck it, and see you, Space Cowboy.